you are going to scuff the finish during this process on the components, and don't look at it as, oh, I've damaged the originality of the gun, because honestly the originality of the gun is gone once they took the part and torched it. But I mean, what you're going to do here is you're going to essentially give yourself a headache if you're going to try saving the finish on all the parts. But if you use wood and rags and everything to buffer the parts, you know, to cushion the parts, you're not going to end up with as much of a pain in the butt. Now, one thing that I do like to do is, okay, remember when I said something about the part size? Right here, there's a stamping of a number 2 here, which is a good thing because that tells me that this part is a number 2, and there's a number 2 electropenned right here, which that tells me that size is probably a standard sized part. Now, looking at this here, I can see that there's a 2 here, and I don't see a 2 electropenned on the rear sight block itself. So it may be a number 2, it may not be. I'm not seeing anything where it would be an indicator of that. A lot of times you can't really trust these because there's also a couple of other scribblings here. So it may be something else entirely. But let's take a look at the front sight block, see if it's a 2. I don't see anything on the barrel that says it's a 2. There's a 2 here. That, like I said, doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean specifically that this is a 2. But like I said, a 2 stamping on a part is standard size. You know, a lot of times the standard size isn't posted on there, so sometimes you have to just kind of, you know, measure it with a pair of calipers. Even there are some big 2s out there, so you know, sometimes you're not going to have the luxury of having a part identified as a 2. So so until we get the barrel out to see if it is a 2, then we're kind of flying in the dark here. If the rear sight block is oversized, there are workarounds for that, but as far as the trunnion, alright, so let's theorize for a second that the rear sight block is oversized. You can work around that. You can make it to where it works well enough to fit the barrel. You can get away with it by, you know, kind of crimping it a little bit and causing it to have a little bit of a, you know, basically is what you do is you smack it on the side here and deform it a little bit to where it'll stay put so you can pin it. You can do that, but I would not recommend it. Also, the barrel pin, or the barrel here, absolutely no deviation. If you have an oversized trunnion or an undersized barrel, don't use it. You know, get the appropriately sized part. This here is going to be your most critical part here. Anyway, let's move on to the gas block. The gas block here, if it is oversized, you'll have bypass of gases, and that could cause function problems with the rifle. So you may want to be a little bit more careful when you're oversizing, getting an oversized part there. The front sight block, you can get around it with the same thing that I just said with the rear sight block. You can kind of ding it a little bit, you know, just you know, whack it on the side, deform it a little bit, and it should be well enough to where you can pin it. Is that going to mean that this rifle, if those parts were oversized on your barrel, is going to work? Over time, that front sight block may start loosening up and start wiggling a little bit, and same too is the rear sight block. So keep that in mind. If that does happen on your rifle, then you know, you may want to look into getting an oversized barrel or have a custom barrel made. So just keep that in mind. When you're prepping to build, the barrel at this point is your wild card. Everything else should go together very well because a lot of it is hand fitment. The barrel is not. So let's just assume that the barrel here is all 2s, and we're going to do what we can with it. Anyway, next step, we're going to press out the barrel stub from the front trunnion. So we're going to get that set up in the press, and we're going to do that real quick.